Yo, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Good to see you. And today I just kind of wanted to go over some of the deck lists that we're potentially going to be seeing now in OP-04.5, with some of the ban list and restrictions coming into effect on November 10th. That means that red won't be as much of a threat anymore, so it does open up the, the floodgates to a few decks being introduced into the meta, and just some current decks that now don't have to tech as hard into the red matchup and can kind of prepare for some of the others as well as their mirrors, which is really interesting. Obviously, this list being the most talked about because everybody is like, yo, this is going to be oppressive. Seeing Katakuri as well as Big Mom Lin, I think they're pretty interchangeable. You know, there's a few tweaks you'll make in each list, but they're fairly interchangeable. And yeah, 10 cost Big Mom is just a, it's a card. It is a card, you know, it's a thing that hardly has an answer. It's just a really good card. So you got to be very aggressive against yellow, and I won't lie, I'm not looking forward to seeing a lot of the the sea of yellow players that's going to come from this temporary ban and restriction list. But I do think it's really it's awesome that we're going to get to see like a different play style. It's going to be a lot of fun changes that make the, just a change, like a little refreshing change, a breath of fresh air for about, a couple of weeks. And then OP-05 is going to come out, and, I believe that we're definitely going to be seeing some lifts to those bands pretty quickly. But, yeah, this is a pretty standard list. I mean, there's nothing special to write home here about. Yamato is a little bit interesting. I've been trying out 2 of these occasionally just in some sim matches. I think that Yamato is a good answer for the odd curve, and it plays really well into certain matchups depending on how much life you and your opponent have. So I like it. I like it a lot. It also avoids the 8-drop Katakuri in the mirror, so that's really nice. It can bait out a red rock, and then you play 10-drop Lin the following turn, so, or vice versa. So it does have, a lot of it has some playability. I like it in here. But onto a deck that I actually think is going to be thriving. By the way, all of these are just lists that I was thinking, yeah, this looks like something that I would play, or this looks like something that would be played. I obviously don't main a lot of these decks, so there's going to be a lot of different lists out there. This is just something that I thought would maybe work well with with not seeing as much red prevalence. I feel like in this list you get to reintroduce Boa Hancock. You could have ran it before, but just Fire Fist as well as Ace, just a lot of Marco, Automata Marco, a lot of problems that made Boa not as sought after in this matchup, or in that matchup, excuse me. I feel like you can reintroduce the card, which is really nice. I think, I'm running 4 of each of the events, 3000 Worlds and Red Rock, because, I just think they're absolutely busted. I couldn't imagine not running 4 of these with Miss All Sunday in the deck as well, so that's just me. But you could probably run 3 and get away with it, but I'd like to see them every turn almost. I think you can almost just play this deck without even having to play a card to board. You just Red Rock, 3000 Worlds, everything, swing 9, or swing 9 or swing 11 each turn. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. But, and I know in reality that's not the truth of it. I'm sometimes blue be catching me on a bad day where I get all upset. I'm like, oof, it's tough. It's tough. I do think the interesting thing though about this list is there are some like potential cards that you could see in here, like 7 cost Doofy, Dragon Twister. I feel like Dragon Twister isn't going to be as popular because of not playing against Law and Zoro as much. The Sasaki 2K counter, I feel like, is also an option. And, I mean, even potentially Zeph in here. Yeah, there's just a lot of really cool builds that you can make with Croc, and I'm excited to see some of the lists that come up in the future. Green Purple Doflamingo, I don't feel like Green Purple Doflamingo is going to see that much change. I could be wrong. I think that what I personally was thinking as somebody that is interested in playing Doofy for the 4.5 period, you know, now that you don't really have that Law matchup where it can be kind of a toss-up based off of how lucky they can get with the high roll, it does feel like you have just pretty decent matchups all around. Blue can be pretty annoying, but you can go wide, and if they don't see every single answer card, which is like, you know, fingers crossed, because I feel like 9 times out of 10, Blue does see every single removal and answer card. Yeah, I mean, if you can get some of the board, you know, to go as wide as possible, be aggressive early, and then don't rely on your 10 cost. I thought that maybe an interesting tech for this deck would be the 9 cost Kaido. Yeah, I was thinking that 9 cost Kaido would actually be really cool. You could subtract a Bins. Like, this Bins and Brook, I feel like, are sort of interchangeable. It really depends on how wide you're trying to go. If you believe that, you know, I believe Bins is just really nice into the yellow matchup. Just being able to attach 1, swing for 7 each turn against yellow is a lot of pressure that, you know, yellow's going to have a tough time removing. And if they swing 7 into it, which a lot of the times, like their first 3 turns, maybe first 4 turns, they're arguably going to want to do, it feels like it just sticks for a while. It really does, and I think that might actually be a really good choice to yellow. It also, you know, has multiple other good matchups. Just being able to swing for 7 for 1 Dawn investment is just great. But the 9 cost Kaido does seem really interesting. It was something I was thinking about, was like maybe subtracting one of these to throw in a 9 cost. I even considered getting rid of 1 10 cost Doofy to put in 1 Kaido, just like as a little tech card. I don't know. I'm going to play around with it in the sim a little bit, but Green Purple Doofy does feel like it's going to be really solid now after some of these red nerfs and stuff like that, temporary stuff. But Queen, I think Queen's still just going to be a monster. Queen is going to be a monster. The interesting thing, though, is that I feel like I've seen a lot of people running 3 of the 8-drop categories, and I feel as though with the change that just happened, I feel like 4 is now a must. It might not be a must, but it feels like it, because playing up against yellow, and yellow just being able to drop their own category, just having an answer to that. Obviously, Red Rock is, you know, simultaneously an answer, but very, very interesting. I don't know, I just was thinking about that the other day. It seems like a really, really unique situation where I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'd ever want to run 3 now in this list, but I could be wrong yet again. Don't main Queen. Just giving thoughts here, ladies and gentlemen. It's just I think I'm excited for something new and refreshing, and to see a lot of these decks kind of thrive a little bit more. I feel like it's gonna be a lot of fun gameplay that I feel like people have been missing out on by just sticking to what is meta. And I'm about to get to my deck that I'm very excited about, and I think is going to be wildly fun now without the without having to every game just worry about that red matchup. And that would be Black Luffy. I think that Black Luffy has so much potential. It has now with the ban list and some of the restricted cards. It just feels like this deck has seen a bit of a buff overall. Obviously, there's times where this deck actually really thrived against the Whitebeard matchup, but it could still just lose because Whitebeard does Whitebeard things and has tons of events. They can play little weenie blockers, and if you're not drawing all of the removal in the world as well as all of the blockers in the world, it can be very tough, because 5-cost Luffy, just being able to be played, and you know, if they can get you to 0 life, you're in a bad spot. You're in a bad spot. Protect that last life was what I used to say, like, every time. Doesn't matter if you're giving up your whole hand and a blocker. Like, oof, it was kind of rough. But yeah, I changed the list now a little bit because it seems as though now that we don't have to deal with some of those matchups, like Law, for example, I can take out the 9-cost Shanks. I still think Shanks is a viable option in the deck, but it doesn't feel as though it needs Shanks in order to have a chance in that matchup. Now, I dropped Isho down from 2 to 1 because of not having to deal with, you know, every deck having a massive hand like Whitebeard would. This card is just a really nice tech. It doesn't need to be a staple now. And I'm actually trying out Blue No, courtesy of recommendation from my man Russell Lepar over at someone's PC. He said give that a shot, because I really did like the half Navy, half CP9 package. And there are 27 Navy cards, but I believe that only obviously 23 of them are searchable, because brand new cannot search itself. And then there are 17 CP9 cards, so that does give a lot of fuel for Kaku to be able to use that ability and just kind of go on a rampage. So I'm very excited for how this list is going to perform. I think it's going to be really interesting. I still think the blue matchup is going to be pretty tough, but you can definitely you can kind of squeak through. And Bluno is a card that's really going to attract like a lot of those 3,000 worlds because of the value that this just gets off of dying, playing a Kumadori, playing a Khalifa to draw 2 trash, to playing Fukuro rested, which now becomes a pseudo blocker until the next turn when it is just a fantastic blocker. Yeah, it's got a lot of potential. I'm really excited about this list. And then Magellan. This is a list I'm really excited about too. I'm still figuring it out though. I played a lot of sim matches with this, but it is a deck that does feel like there's just a different thought process than a lot of the decks that I've been playing in the past, which is like inherent value off of playing the card. This is like you get that inherent value off of playing Magellan like immediately, right? But the rest of your deck, it isn't working that way. It's more applying pressure whilst also like getting bonuses off of your leader's effect, and also, you know, kind of maintaining this board and life until you can get down 7 costs, use Sis Captain Kid, which is fantastic on play / when attacking, Dawn -1, up to one of your leaders gains plus 1,000 power until the start of your next turn. Using leader ability, this brings your leader to 7k. So now for 7 Dawn, you have a 7 cost, 8,000 power body on board, as well as a 7,000 power leader. And, you know, once you get to 10 Dawn, just playing this and swinging, you know, like 7 with lead, attach 1 to Magellan, swing 7 with Magellan, save 2 for Hell's Judgment or Thunder Bagua. It's fantastic. Or you can play those final 2 for a domino blocker. It just feels like this deck is really fun. It's very challenging right now to figure out the different play style than what I am used to, but I'm really enjoying this a lot, and I think that Magellan's going to make a very fun comeback in 4.5, so that's going to be cool. And then also Z. I love this deck. It is, oh god, I love this deck. It's just, I can't seem to crack the code for what the list should look like. I've tried different variations and I'm still testing them. This is the most recent one that I'm testing now, and it's tough, but I think that I just added this card, and I think that I don't think this is going to make the deck. I think that this might be a really cool addition though, and this is from Starter Deck 10, which is Wire Blocker, After your opponent declares an attack, or excuse me, once per turn, when a Dawn card on your field is returned to your Dawn deck, draw 1 card, trash 1 card from your hand. Now, the best part about this is once per turn, not your turn, not opponent's turn. It is both, right? So this is a very nice card for like a purple mirror. This is a very nice card that forces a card out of hand for a very low Dawn investment. It's a 1k counter easily pitched, but it allows you to cycle your hand, which I think is fantastic. I think that this is just a really interesting card that I didn't consider before. I think Wire is going to be very cool. This was something I wanted to try out as well. Punk Vice was main rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less, and then add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and rest it. Now, the beauty of this card is you have others in the list that are lowering, you know, so you have Tashigi, you've got Suru. Once you get 10 cost on board, this is resting anything, doesn't matter. So very neat, very neat. I think the trigger is to just add 1 Dawn, so it's basically like Thunder Bagawa in that way, where you just ramp up. Beppo, also very interesting. That's going to be a cool card from starter deck 10. I was also going to try the Jean Bart just to get a little bit of ramp up in the... I guess maybe I'm thinking like this would be if you're going odds. You're going odds and you're turn 3... Yeah, turn 3. This will put you up to 6, then 8 the following turn. Where you can play like a Borsalino, you know, and another blocker swing 6. I think yeah, it's a very interesting card. I like it. But these are just some of the lists I thought would be, you know, pretty cool to see where they go. And yeah, maybe just some of these make a splash into the meta. I think I would love to see just anything new and exciting. So yeah, let me know your thoughts though, guys. What lists are you guys excited about playing in 4.5? I really don't think we're going to see the ban list and the restriction list as long as some people predict. But I do think that it's going to be, it's just going to be a really nice kind of breath of fresh air seeing some of these other decks be able to succeed. And there's so many others that I didn't even point out right here that really are like kind of viable again. I'd love to see somebody playing Arlong. I think Arlong would be really cool. Yeah, I mean, there's a few. It's gonna be cool. But let me know your thoughts. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.